Hey guys, today we're checking out some cool gear, specifically the Boss OC-5. And I'm going to try to answer the question, will this pedal take the place of an actual bass player in a live situation? So let's find out. My name's Keith with Guitar Scratch Remover and a Turn to Shine. If you're interested in keeping your guitars scratch-free and looking better than any other product, check out our Guitar Scratch Remover. We have no relationship to Boss or Black Star or Positive Grid, but we do like to use a lot of cool gear and the guitars we work on, and that's what we're doing today. So right now I've got this set up in bass mode, and I am playing a Jackson Strat style. All right. I've got this set up so it's only running the bass sound and nothing else. Here's what that sounds like. Hey, if you can't hear the bass coming up, try it on a computer with desktop speakers or larger style headphones. All right, if you want to see that. So it is a fairly convincing bass sound. I would say it's got a little bit of a synth, a little bit of a bass synth sound. It's basically taking my guitar signal and dropping it down an octave. All right, pretty straightforward. So the really cool thing about this is you do have the extra out here if you want to run 2 amps, and I'm going to show you that in a second. Also, you can run both through 1 amp if you want to. I wouldn't recommend that in a live setting, but just for playing around, I've only got 1 amp connected, and so look what happens when I turn up the direct level. Now I have guitar and bass. And you can see how really, really well this is tracking. It's tracking perfectly. It's pretty amazing, actually, the technology. The real beauty of this device, though, is the ability to have multiple outputs and have a dedicated output still for your guitar that doesn't interfere with the bass. I can have it, the next thing I'm going to show you is the turning on the Black Star amp, because that amp right now is not on. I've got the bass running through here. And just to kind of show you what control you have. By the way, if you are interested in more of an in-depth review of all the things this pedal does, I'm not going to cover that. I think there's other videos online about this. I think I'm going to answer the main question that most people have on their mind, and that is, will this replace a bass player? So I'm just going to stick to the main purpose I think that this pedal, holds. You can vary your direct level, and so you can vary the different outs. You can have one go to a soundboard, or like what I'm doing, one go to 1 amp and one go to another. And let's give that a try. To this point, the Black Star amp has been off, so I'm going to reach over and turn that on. If you're hearing any noise, that's just kind of the effects that are kind of waiting. We actually tried this live, and I'm going to answer at the end of the video here how that worked out. Okay, so now you should hear both signals, bass, and guitar. All right, so here's what that looks like. So with power chords, the unit is supposedly supposed to focus on the lowest note that it's hearing. And I would say it does that most of the time. And so I think it will remedy what you're looking for. So here's Okay, just some random stuff there. So it does work. We did get a chance to use this live, and we didn't plan it this way. It's just the bass player that we normally use was out of town that weekend, and so it was a very short set, and we were actually able to use this. And so in answer to the question that you're all wondering is, did this work in a live situation? And I would say the answer is yes. We did have a couple issues at sound check. First amp we used, it was kind of a little boomy, and it took a little bit of, ratcheting it down and playing around with the EQ. But we finally got it where it worked, and it sounded great out in the audience. This was an outdoor event. I don't know, 100, 200 people there, or maybe more. And it worked. I don't think anyone knew there wasn't a real bassist unless you looked and analyzed who was up on stage and who was playing what. It was very convincing. The answer that I would give you is I would say it's about 95% effective. There may be some situations where you might feel it just isn't sounding right. It does work. It would work in a pinch. I wouldn't go on tour or replacing a bassist with this, but it will do the job for you. In fact, actually during a rehearsal, there was another guitar player next door that's not in my band, but he knows the guy that I'd use, and he's like, "Hey, I hear you guys playing. Is that James on bass?" No, James is out of town. You're actually hearing the octave pedal. So it fooled him. It fooled the musician. Okay, it was good enough for that. All right, so that's it, guys. I hope this helped. If you're interested in learning how to keep your guitars scratch-free and looking awesome, check out our product, Guitar Scratch Remover by Turn-A-Shine, and the info at the end of this video. Thanks, man. We'll see you in the next one.